Hi, friends. Welcome back. This is week 2, day 1. You'll notice that my camera isn't working today, so you won't be able to see me, but you'll be able to hear my voice throughout our lesson. Just know that I'm still here. For today's lesson, you will need your thinking cap, your listening ears, a pencil, crayons, and your EL Module 3 and 4 workbook. If you don't have your materials ready, just press pause, then press play when you're ready to learn. Okay, learners, hopefully your materials are ready. Today, we're going to begin with some animal riddles. Here's mystery riddle number 1. As I read the riddle aloud, you'll be thinking about what the animal might be. At the end, we'll count to 3 and guess together. I live on the sea and on land. I live somewhere very cold. I am a bird, but I cannot fly. I swim and eat fish. I sit on my egg all winter. I am black and white. I am a... What do you think we should put in the blank? I'll give you a moment to think and then we'll count down together. 1, 2, 3. A penguin. Wow, look at that penguin. Good job. Let's move on to our next riddle. Mystery riddle number 2. As I read the riddle aloud, you'll be thinking about what animal this could be. I fly in the sky with wings, but have no feathers. I eat insects. I live in caves. I hunt at night. I am a... I'll give you a moment to think and then we'll count down together. 1, 2, 3. A bat! Ooh, good job. That's right, a bat has no feathers, eats insects, lives in caves, and they hunt at night. Good job with our animal riddles. Hopefully now your brain is all warmed up and you are ready to learn. Let's take a peek at our learning targets. Our first target says, I can read and discuss information about bird beaks using the text birds. And number 2 says, I can create and label an observational drawing of a mallard duck. Let's look at this first target. We are going to read and discuss information about what? About bird beaks. And we'll be using that text, birds. Let's start with this learning target, and then we'll do this one for independent work. We're going to have to open our text birds to pages 14 and 15. I'll give you a moment to look at the illustrations. When I look at this page, I first see the heading. Can you point to the heading? The heading is at the top of the page, or the head of the page, and it reads, Brilliant Beaks. Ooh, that word brilliant reminds me of brilliant from our bird walk. Do you remember that word from our bird walk? Brilliant in the bird walk poem referred to bright, colorful, extravagant, beautiful bird beaks. But brilliant can have more than one meaning. While it can mean beautiful, it can also mean smart. I think on this page, it means smart. Smart beaks. If our heading says brilliant beaks, what do you think that these 2 pages are going to be about? That's right. They're going to be about different types of bird beaks. And why do you think the author decided to write brilliant beaks instead of just beaks? It makes it more interesting. It's a good descriptive adjective. And I'm thinking that the beaks on these pages are all different, and they're probably used smartly. Let's read these 2 pages, and then we'll look for some text features. We'll start at the heading. Brilliant beaks. A bird's beak is perfectly shaped to eat its favorite foods. Some beaks catch fish. Some beaks crack nuts. A long beak helps the toucan save energy. It can reach fruit in trees without moving. Beaks come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They are used for grooming and for fighting, as well as for eating. Buzzard tears flesh. Australian pelican traps fish. Atlantic puffin grips fish. Flamingo sifts water. Blue and yellow macaw cracks nuts. Brambling cracks seeds. Mallard duck dabbles in water. Kiwi senses bugs. Oh, friends, these 2 pages were full of text features. Now, of course, we already talked about one of these text features. What is this one at the top called? Remind me. That's right. That's our heading, the group of words at the top of the page that tells us what the pages are going to be about. Now, I also noticed over here, there were some words that were attached to the pictures. What do we call those? What are those called? That's right. They're called labels. Do you see the labels? And remember, those labels are attached to a picture, and they give us more information about the picture. For example, this label says blue and yellow macaw cracks nuts. It tells us, and it shows us the arrow to point to the macaw. It tells us that this bird is a blue and yellow macaw, and that the job of this beak is to crack nuts. Now I saw one more text feature. What was it? Well, actually, I see 2 more text features. What about this? It's not a label per se. What is it? It's a caption. There are 2 captions. There's a caption here and a caption here at the top of page 15. Now, captions explain what a photograph or illustration is about. So this caption is describing what this big photograph of the toucan is about. Now, speaking of the photograph of the toucan, a photograph is also a text feature. So we have a photograph here, and then we have lots of photographs of these birds and their beaks. So what are those photographs showing us? And what do they have to do with our heading? What are the photographs showing us, and what do they have to do with the heading? That's right. I think the photographs are showing us that these birds all have beaks, and that their beaks do a specific job. And our heading says the word beaks in it, doesn't it? And if you look really closely at your labels, what part of the bird is labeled? And what is that label telling us? What part of the bird is labeled? Is it its eye? No. What about its feathers? No. Where are the arrows pointing to? That's right. The labels are all pointing to the beaks. And the labels are including the name of the bird, like a kiwi bird, and it tells us what the beak can do. The kiwi's beak can sense bugs. The Atlantic puffin's beak can grip fish. Interesting. The labels are really helpful. They're telling us more information about those pictures, aren't they? Just like the captions do. The captions are giving us more information too. This says, a long beak helps the toucan save energy. It can reach fruit and trees without moving. What information does this caption teach us about the toucan? That's right. It tells us that this beak helps the toucan save energy because it's long and it can reach that fruit. If we didn't have this caption, we wouldn't know that. We would see this picture, but we wouldn't have that information. How would you describe that toucan's beak? Can you think of some good describing words? Yeah, it's long, yellow, curved, it's pointy at the end here. Good, those are all physical characteristics of that toucan's beak. You know, you are doing the work of a researcher right now. You're using these text features to understand more about the text and the topic of birds. Do you remember this chart? What researchers do anchor chart? Yeah. We have asked questions, we've closely observed, we've shared and discussed ideas, we've recorded observations using words and pictures, we've gathered evidence from text, we've looked for titles and headings, we've studied pictures, photographs, and illustrations, and today we did this one. We read the captions. Remember, this is the caption. And that's what we did today. We looked at those captions in our bird's text. You can see in this little picture that there is an illustration or a photograph, and there's a caption right beside it. Researchers use the captions to help them learn more about the text. How did the captions today help us learn more about the different beaks of the birds? How did those captions help us learn today? That's right. The captions told us about the different types of beaks and what those beaks do. Good job, researchers. I want us to go back and let's look at page 15. Looking at page 15, can you answer some questions for me? Such as, how do some of the birds use their beaks to help them eat? Here's a hint. The labels will help you answer my question. How do the birds use their labels to help them eat? Go ahead, share your thinking. Good. That's right. Like the Atlantic puffinfish. Its beak helps it grip fish, which helps it eat the fish, right? And the kiwi's beak, it helps it know when bugs are around. And the brambling, its little beak helps it crack seeds. Good job. And I'm wondering, why are beaks important to birds? Why do they need these beaks? Yes, the beaks help them do different things, such as eat. The beaks are really important to the birds. It's kind of like they're carrying a fork with them everywhere, right? That's right. Okay, researchers, we have used our headings today, we've used our labels today, and we used captions today to help us learn more about those physical characteristics of birds, specifically their beaks, right? Well, now it's time for some independent work. You are going to open up your EL workbook and go to page 6. You'll know you're there when it looks like this. I'll give you a moment to find it. At the top of the page, it will say Birds Research Notebook, page 4, My Bird Sketch, Draft 3. The instructions say, draw and label the beak of your sketch. Add a caption that describes the beak. Now, before we really dive into this and I show you the bird that we're going to use, we need to go backwards and take a look at this. When the illustrator was showing us the beaks, did they draw the whole bird, or did they really just show us the head and the beak? That's right, they zoomed in on just the head and the beak. And that's what you are going to do today. You are going to only draw the head and the beak. Draw and label the beak in this box. Then add a caption that describes the beak. Now, you can add a label too that says beak, but down here, I'd like you to add a caption telling me what the beak looks like. Before we get started with that, we need to write the bird name. This bird is a mallard duck. Using your pencil, write mallard duck on the bird name line. I'll give you a moment to write. Now that we have mallard duck written for bird name, we need to create our sketch. Remember, you're only sketching the beak and the head right here. This will allow you to draw a big head, and you can make that beak really big so that your reader can zoom in on the beak. Then you'll need to label the beak, and then you'll need to make a caption down here telling me, what does the beak look like? The beak is yellow and pointy. Use good adjectives to tell me more about that beak. I'll repeat your instructions again. Draw and label the beak on your sketch. Add a caption that describes the beak. Let's look at our learning target before we say goodbye, and then I'll come back to this page and pause so that you have time to make your observational drawing. Today's target said, I can read and discuss information about bird beaks using the text birds. And you did. You were able to answer my questions and read along with me as we learn more about beaks, those physical characteristics of birds. Then we worked on this target. I can create and label an observational drawing of a mallard duck, and that's what you're going to do on your own. I'll go ahead and say goodbye, friends, as you get started on your observational drawing of a mallard duck. I'll see you next time. Bye, friends. I'll pause here so that you have time to draw that beak and write a caption. Okay, researchers, you can pause the video if you need more time to observe and create your observational drawing.